Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello friends, on 11th of August, the Economic Times carried a report that the army has held an inquiry into the incident that took place in the Galwan Valley on 15th of June 2020, in which 20 soldiers, including the commanding officer, were killed in action and 76 soldiers were severely wounded. However, the army was quick to deny this report. This was rather surprising that traditionally the militaries do carry out an inquiry into serious incidents that take place during operations, particularly when lapses seem to have taken place. This incident is one of its kind, probably the first in the history of the Indian Army, when in an unarmed combat in the middle of military operations with the enemy, such a large number of soldiers have been killed. Thus, it is important to pinpoint the accountability as to who gave the orders for the soldiers to go without weapons, or if they carried weapons, who told them not to fire. If that was not so, it also must be inquired as to whether there were any serious lapses with respect to training, equipment, and tactics. I prove the point by highlighting an incident from the 1965 war. My first unit, 4th Battalion, the Sikh Regiment, the Saragari Battalion, on 10th of September had captured the important town of Barki on the Khalra-Lahore axis. As it was busy reorganizing, the commanding officer was called to be assigned a new mission, and the commanding officer proceeded to the divisional headquarters. There he was personally briefed by the army commander, General Bhat Singh, about the next mission, in which they were to go into the sector of another division, the 4th Infantry Division, and infiltrate 15 to 20 kilometers inside enemy held territory, and establish a roadblock on the road between Khemkaran and Kasuk. What had happened in the past few days was that initially 4th Division went on the offensive, and when it was counterattacked by 11th Infantry Division of Pakistan Army, it had to withdraw about 10 to 12 kilometers to Waltoha and Asal Uttar. The enemy then launched its first armored division. Over the next 2 days, a grim battle took place in which the enemy's first armored division was routed, and it started pulling back its 3rd Brigade of the armored division to take it to the Sialkot sector, where more reverses had taken place. The army commander appreciated that Khemkaran is now likely held by an infantry company and a few tanks, and it was important to go into the pursuit operation to totally rout the enemy and recapture our lost territory. Consequently, 4th Sikh had been selected for the task to establish a roadblock, and 7th Mountain Brigade was to launch the attack on Khemkaran with 1 battalion and 1.5 squadrons of armor. At the back of the army commander's mind was the fact that it was 11th of September when 4th Sikh was busy reorganizing at Barki, and on 12th was the 68th anniversary of the Saragari Day. The army commander felt that this would be a great victory, and what a better way to celebrate the victory than the Saragari Battalion itself spearheading the attack, spearheading the attack. 4th Sikh was a tired unit. It had not slept for 2 nights. The CO did represent to the brigade commander and the divisional commander, asking for a postponement of 24 hours. However, this request was not granted. Consequently, the battalion pulled out of Burki, which it had captured on the night of 10th and 11th of September, and moved all the way to Valtoha and reached there by midnight. After a quick briefing, it proceeded on its task of infiltration. By 5 o'clock in the morning, it was in the area south of Khemkaran and near the village of Machike. Unknown to the unit and to 4th Infantry Division and 7 Brigade, Khemkaran was very strongly held by 4 companies, 4 battalions of infantry and nearly equivalent of 5 to 6 squadrons of armor belonging to 3 different regiments. As the daylight was near, the commanding officer thought that he must get into the built-up area, and Khemkaran was only about 1,000 to 1,500 yards away. But before that, he saw some tanks, presuming that these were our tanks which had attacked Khemkaran from the east. He walked up to them, and to his chagrin, he found that this was the self-propelled artillery regiment of the Pakistan Army. And a second lieutenant was standing on top of the tanks. Presuming them to be our tanks, this commanding officer asked him, "Are these Deccan Horse tanks?" That is the regiment of ours which was attacking. The officer whipped out his pistol and took the commanding officer as prisoner of war. Some soldiers tried to make a break, and they could not. And 15 soldiers were killed while they were making a break for the sugarcane fields. Over the course of next 3 to 4 hours, the enemy infantry and armor surrounded the battalion, and almost 125 all ranks were taken prisoner of war, including the commanding officer. The attack on Khemkaran, which was launched by own troops, failed miserably. Now, as time passed, Colonel Anand Singh, the commanding officer, returned from Pakistan, and he was called by the army commander. And all that the army commander had to say was, "Anand, I am sorry." At least the army commander had the grace to apologize to the commanding officer. But what posterity remembers is not the great victory at Burki, which is a battle honor won by Sikh, which took place on the night of 10th and 11th of September, but the fact that nearly 125 officers and soldiers of the unit were captured because this news was splashed on Pakistan television. And this is the cross that Sikh will carry for years to come. Hence, I conclude that it is very important to hold an inquiry in the fracas that took place on 15th of June in the Galwan Valley. If we do not pinpoint the blame or the lapses that took place, historically, it will be the commanding officer of the unit and his troops who will be blamed for the fracas that took place. Enjoy reading the column.